We're just gonna do this real quick. Becca dropped the baby, which in turn does mean that there will be a caution on the field.
I did not.
You did too.
I did
I heard
not.
it from the basement. She fell over.
From
You
heard a
dropped the
thud.
baby.
Speeding up, no slowing down.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast. It's the Big 4-4 episode, season 4, episode 4, and we do have 4 people here for today's show. Myself, Mason, and the Pelkeys, Becca, Jessup, and young Miss Riley, the youngest flag woman in probably North Dakota history. How are y'all doing? Becca, how's you and your crew doing?
I'm doing good. Obviously doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, getting ready for racing season because now that it is April, racing's just a few weeks away. Depending when this episode drops, it's probably 3 weeks away from racing. So car shows coming up at Dakota Speedway, so getting ready for that. There's also some other smaller car shows that we're doing to get fans and drivers excited for racing season, and then racing season starts for Dakota Speedway on April 25th. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do between now and then, and just working hard behind the scenes to do that, all while taking care of this little volunteer. So, we're
Yeah,
good.
she has she gotten involved in a lot of the planning process for the race season so far?
She goes to some of the Dakota Speedway meetings, and she'll be at the racing officials training later this weekend. And so, yeah, she gets to come along and be involved, and gets to meet all of the racing family, which is that's not too bad. She gets to meet the racing family, so
She's gonna be like the most like well-rounded official that we've ever seen at the racetrack with all the exposure she's getting.
oh yes, oh
Christ.
yes.
What is going on with her and the flag? Are you trying to pick her nose with that?
No, I'm just making sure she doesn't stab herself with it.
Well, then just take it away from her.
She is very strong. She's a
Mhm.
strong and independent woman. Let go.
Well, how are you doing, Jessup? Realizing that Riley might come take your flag position here at some point.
Oh, that'd be good. And then I can go and boo people in the stands. I'm doing good.
Excellent, excellent. And things are
Mason, how are
winding
you?
down for the school year for you. Any big things coming up as far as that goes before racing season starts?
Not really. School is school. You just try to survive and not mentally lose it. Oh, we lost our two stars. They go to the back. Bye bye. They have spun out of control.
Well, you
Uh,
are just a little salty, aren't you?
I'm in the lead.
We'll find
Mason,
out the lineup here shortly.
So
I
as
might.
we discussed this prior to the podcast, if I'm not in the lead, this would be the equivalent of, say, Brad Sweet and the High Limits racing series, and Brad spinning out and then being given the lead again.
Maybe, maybe
isn't there?
not.
What didn't he do something on the last episode that might have warranted some penalties and
No, I have not done anything that warrants a penalty.
mm,
We shall find out.
There's
I
no
myself,
finding out. It's I do know where I'm at. I identify as your leader
Well, I know where you're at right now in the lineup too.
in the lead.
I am doing well myself. I've been going out to a couple of the race shops here over the last day or so and getting an idea of where people are at in their progress towards race season. So that's fun to see all the excitement and everyone's in a good mood whenever race season starts. And hopefully it's within a few weeks. Or selfishly for me, an extra week because I will be gone the very last weekend out of state. So I will
Where are you
miss,
going, Mason?
I
Why
will
are
be in
you leaving
Florida.
us?
I will
What are
be
you
in
doing
Florida
down
the
there?
last weekend. My sister is in a archery tournament, and so
Oh, that's right.
I'm going down to be her arrow agent.
Your arrow agent.
Yep.
Describe, please. What do you do? Do you
So
sign
she,
contracts for arrows and arrow apparel?
well, no, it's so since she has a disability, she's going for para archery classification. So when she goes down and shoots the arrows, or she shoots the arrows, and I go down to the target and retrieve them and bring them back.
Hmm. They couldn't have found a more fleet of foot individual.
Well, sometimes it's a little bit tough trying to get those arrows out because sometimes it gets shoved all the way through the target, and so it's kind of sometimes
Now,
a struggle to
Mason,
get those out.
this is just like darts. You put your hand around the arrow and then pull back. You do not just grab the arrow and pull. Do
Yes.
not pull on the fletchings.
No, that's a big no-no.
Yeah,
So selfishly, I'm hoping things get pushed back a little bit just because that's like the last weekend and when a lot of the tracks are opening. So if there's some inclement weather that happens on that weekend, I won't be too disappointed. So just saying. You can
But
blame me for any shenanigans that happen that
no,
weekend.
Becca, I want us to make a timestamp and a note of this and a bookmark. Mason wants it to rain out. Mr. Rain Man. Hmm.
he was gonna be our announcer during the Man Down Meltdown, but then this trip got rescheduled or rebooked or there was some
Exactly, Riley. Exactly.
Mason was gonna
Yes.
announce the Man Down for us, but then this trip got um Mason, how do you explain it? Because it wasn't gonna happen, but now it is happening. So
Yeah,
that
we weren't
yeah,
certain it was going to happen, and then it got put back on the schedule. So it's
yeah.
like, okay, well, we're going.
So I was a little selfishly bummed that Mason couldn't join us, but I'm excited for his sister, and I think she's gonna do really well. So
Yeah, should be a good trip down to Florida. And so, yeah, we got some fun stuff to go over for this episode. We are Johnless. He's he's out competing on the state bowling competition, and so we wish him best of luck. I think he's going to be bowling in that for 2 or 3 weekends because I think he's got all sorts of different teams he's with. But needless to say, good luck, John. We will have you on the next episode for the Track Packers. And thank you to all the listeners and watchers, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the listening platforms. We greatly appreciate your support. And we need to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Hitch Harness. Now, Jessup, you are a truck owner yourself. Do you
Yes.
own a receiver hitch?
Yes.
How do you store it in your truck?
I throw it in my truck very unresponsibly. But now with the baby, I may have to find a item of some sort that could secure it so it doesn't fly through my head or my baby's head. What could it be, Mason?
Well, I would highly recommend you get something to store that receiver hitch safely. If you go to hitchharness.com or get in touch with Tyler Hall, he can point you in the right direction to help you store that safely and efficient. So that way, all your cargo is safe, whether it's someone like Riley or just in general to keep your truck, because I know you like to keep your truck in pristine condition. You are very particular when it comes to the appearance of your truck. And so, Hitchhurst.com, if you're looking for a receiver hitch, single or double style, for example, that is where you can find those products and much more. So get in touch with Tyler, as he's a very avid supporter of dirt track racing and an avid supporter of the Track Packers. And we want to thank Tyler for supporting us on the podcast for another season. Now to the controversial part of our show where we discuss the lineup And the lineup as it stands right now is Miss Becca Pelkey is on the pole, followed by Mr. Jessup Pelkey and myself at the rear of the field. Because while there was some shenanigans
Oh,
at the beginning of the last week's episode, we had some carnage that was caused by someone going out of line and absolutely freezing a portion of the screen and side of the field. And so
who
the
did that?
officials determined that
Who
unfortunately
froze
Becca
everything?
had too much collateral damage to kind of get back
That
in
was on
line and
her.
offered
That
her
was no,
position for the next race.
no. She she brought out the caution.
No,
No,
you originally brought out the caution. She was joining the field, and then you decided to go out of the line to express your displeasure to the officials and wiped her completely out of the field.
So she took. I don't understand.
of course you
Needless to say,
don't,
you're
but
still in
that's
the
okay.
front row, though.
Where's Riley and Gordy lining up now?
Well, Brecca is participating with a Roadhog car this time around, and so she's got an extra passenger or two. Or this could be considered something like ice racing, where you can have passengers in your car at the same time you're racing. As I found out from Corey Litton, he actually was doing some announcing from inside the race cars,
Hmm.
which is actually pretty cool.
That
Because
is
then
pretty
if
cool.
you're in some of those cars, you can turn on the radio and actually listen to the announcer at the same time.
How does the his microphone pick up so far?
I'm not exactly sure what kind of setup he has, but considering it's usually a small track around one of the lakes, I'm sure it doesn't have
Wow.
to have much range.
Plus, Corey's a radio guy, so
Yeah,
he
he's
probably
smart.
has more fancier equipment than your average dirt track. So he can probably make that work pretty easy.
Which we were talking a little bit briefly when I saw him earlier. Would that be considered cheating if drivers were to turn the radios up and hear the announcer talking so they know who's kind of where in the field? Or is that
No,
just
there's a
utilizing your
30-second
resources?
delay.
Oh yeah, it could be a delay. Not much though with radio.
Yeah, but if it's even a 3-second delay, uh, by the time you get into corner one, uh, it'll be telling you that you're coming out of or going into three or
Yeah,
coming out of four.
be interested in kind of test that theory out.
Also, how
Yes.
many of those drivers actually listen to the announcer? They probably don't want that extra noise in their ear or their head as they're trying to concentrate on, hitting their lines or
Well,
so.
apparently at the banquet, he asked how many people listened on the radio, and about 90% of the hands went up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He's like, "You're all DQ'd." But anyways, let's get things rolling with the waving of the official start of the Track Packers podcast, season 4, episode 4. With who or what are you repping? This is actually when the cautions should start counting. I have to check the rule book to make sure on that. But Becca, who or what are you repping?
Well, we're recording on a weekend, which is pretty unusual for us. So, um, I'm kind of on Riley's time on the weekends, and so I've worn this before on the podcast, but it's also just very convenient for me to just do whatever I have to do to take care of Riley. So this is my Daytona International Speedway um little hoodie that I picked up on our trip last February. And so, yeah, it's just really loose. It allows me to do whatever I got to do to make sure Riley is fed and taken care of. So, just super loungy, super comfortable clothes for today's podcast.
You
But
gotta
yeah,
have a set
my
of
Daytona.
racing clothes that are comfortable.
Yeah.
Cool shirt. Jessup, who or what are you repping?
Well, Mason, I am representing a shirt from our Becca and my trip to Indianapolis, Illinois, as Becca would claim. And it is basically just the blueprints for the racetrack itself. And it's very simple. It's a very different looking design, and I like it. And then I'm rocking a Sunshine State Modified Tour uh, hat. It is now defunct, and this was from many years ago, but I like the color, so I kept it.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know what hat that is.
Exactly. We're pulling out the old stuff.
Mason, I wore the green jacket that goes with that hat late last fall. End of
Oh,
season 3. So
It is a zip-up hoodie. So with that being said,
it's a very,
wow.
very, very picky caution. I don't know if that really warrants a caution,
and
but
now your leader, your
No.
rightful leader. Go ahead,
no,
Mason. Tell me
no.
about your get up and your fit and
This
your
is like
wardrobe.
what, like in NASCAR when they throw out the roll bar padding to try to get a debris caution. This is exactly what that's
Or
like.
the water bottle.
Yeah. There's debris on the back stretch. Oh,
Oh,
look, it's a
it's
water
just a
bottle.
water bottle.
But there was a caution.
And
Usually drivers would get penalized for those instances too.
I believe it's a Walmart bag on the track.
Well, they did have a lot of those issues when they would come into like overheating engines too. So there is that part of it. Just repping a different shirt for today. I'm representing Donnie Schatz, and I got this shirt down in Volusia this year at the Gator Nationals. It's kind of his Car Quest scheme. I like the colors on the sprint car itself, the two different shades of blue. It's kind of one of my favorite schemes that Donnie's had over the last couple of years. And kind of some interesting news from this week in the Donnie Schatz camp as kind of making a change to their engine program. He's been running Ford performance engines for the last several years and looking to make an adjustment to a lot of the points paying races moving forward by going to, I believe it's Chevy, Jessup.
I would assume they're going back to Chevy Motors because
they didn't know.
I don't see them going back to a Toyota motor, and I don't see Mopar having an option right now for them. So I believe it will be a Chevy engine for them.
Although the
Yeah.
press release didn't actually say what they're gonna go with or who they're gonna work with, but I would assume it's a Chevy because that's one he had most of his success with.
Yeah, and he's not, well, he's been a little bit behind over the last several races. I mean, he's won a few races over the last year or so, but consistently speed wise, it's been a little behind. So I think they're looking to see if they can kind of get some of that speed back and see where they can kind of continually improve. Because, well, right now David Gravel's kind of got a
Yeah, the
stranglehold on
season's
him.
pretty much over.
I mean, Masio's
It's
pretty
over.
good, but or
No, it's over.
McAdoo, as some people say. But
Is that John
yeah,
or you?
Gravel's kind of like the hot dog right now.
Yeah, high limits is no better either. Sweet's just walking away with everything. So it would be interesting to see if Sweet and Gravel were on the same series because then if it was high limit, it would mean Sweet wouldn't be able to cherry pick his way through. And
Although, shout out to Buddy Kofoid because I believe he
yeah,
dominated last night for Laos win. So it's nice to see a different winner. I think high limits, they've had multiple winners. I think Reitzel just won his second one. I think that was the first
back to
multi.
back
Yeah.
after shattering his nose.
Yeah, he took a rock to the face.
Yep, in
Ugh.
Vegas.
It was interesting hearing them uh, talk last night or interview him after the feature, and they're like, was it during the interview or it was either during the interview or right after? They're like, just imagine where he would be had this misfortune. It wouldn't. He might be right up there with our leader, Brad Sweet. And I'm like, blow me. If he hadn't shattered his nose, he'd be ahead of Brad.
Well, I mean, he wasn't running great when he was in Vegas at that time. I mean, he
Yeah,
was in the
because he had
dash.
his nose shattered.
Well, he was running the back of the dash. So I
Oh,
mean, he would have gotten a
that
decent
was in
starting
Vegas.
position. So yeah, who knows? It's kind of unfortunate, but at least he's back behind the wheel and kicking butt as we speak now. So
Yep.
that was our uh who or what are we epic for episode 4. And quick shout out to our next segment, Hot Sauce Hot Memory Rewind with Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro, who drives a 12S IMCA modified, just finished up the basketball season. Unfortunately, it didn't result in a title in the class B portion, but he was, I believe, district coach of the year. So still a pretty good year. And I think they're in like one of the more competitive districts. So that kind of makes it tough. It's kind of like the SEC of college football, it seems like, for Class B. And so shout out to you, Isaac. If you want to follow his racing, 12S Racing on Facebook is where you can follow him. Go grab some of his hot sauce if you're in the pits, if you see him throughout the summer, and we'll see what kind of surprises he's got cooked up for 2025. And thank you for supporting us on the Track Packers. So what do you got for this week, Jessup?
Well, again, I am the constant of the show. Always near the front, always ready to go, and always
Constant
aware
of
of
the
what we're
show could
talking about.
mean so many different things, but we'll just let that one slide.
If we're gonna nitpick cautions, there should have been a caution for that statement right then and there.
Yeah, no
Where
kidding.
do I lie?
Mm-hmm.
I was ready before you were ready.
This is true for today, but normally when this segment comes along, you're still digging in your totes of photos looking for photos. And then you usually have John and Mason stall for you.
So just like racing season, fans, people at the track only see like 10 to 15% of what actually goes into a racing program. Kind of like this. People only see a small portion of what goes into the podcast, and I'm pretty sure someone has a great hand in how well prepared you are for today's show.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Riley? Good job, Riley.
I
Where
told
would we
you
be?
what was on the
Where
agenda
would-
today. Otherwise, you don't look at the agenda either.
You didn't tell me anything, so
I did.
there's that.
I taught you
Riley,
the talking points.
what were the talking points? I mean, outside of the usual high marks that we have to hit, I don't know what you're talking about.
I-
Anyways, we're moving on to important things because Becca's gonna just find herself back in the back again. Unfortunately for her, but anyways, like usual, we've got a bunch of great photos from the past that we want to relive. So Mason, you ready?
I'm ready.
Aha, number one.
Oh, I feel like okay, so there's a hill in the number one. Is that like a Vernon Hill?
It would be Vernon Hill.
There's a junior or senior.
It says Vernon Hill, so don't overcomplicate it, Mason.
Okay, I'll take the win on that.
All right, you ready for number two? I gotta pull somebody up here real quick because this is kind of a fun one for me and our friends back on the east side. There we go.
See, this would be
All
fun if I
right.
kind of like phone in John when he's out on the lanes as he's approaching.
11D.
Tim McMahon?
That is Tim McMahon. Actually, yep, this is Tim. Gotta make sure.
Are these all the same year, Jessup?
They are.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Tim, I believe, is going on, according to Tom Krob. Yep, Tom Krob. This is his 53rd year of racing.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So I was fortunate enough to see the McMahons race when I was younger. And I've seen Tim race pretty much every year that I've lived out east and the few times I've gotten to go back home. And Tim's always got some nice equipment and he's a very well respected racer back home. So
hmm
53 years, you got to be doing something right and you got to really love what you're doing. So that's pretty awesome.
Yep, we got quite a few late model drivers. It seems like that have a lot of years experience behind the wheel heading into this year. So that's awesome to see Tim's still going.
Yep. Now, on to our last one. You know
Okay,
what the
you're
colors
gonna
are.
have to help me with this one.
What
Well,
region?
I
it's
mean,
a
I know it's a
Mopar
late
car.
model, so you can remove that hint.
Well, yes, but like what region? Is it North Dakota, Minnesota?
I'm assuming Minnesota. I might be wrong here.
Okay. That kind of rules out my guess then.
Who do
Does
you
this
think it
driver
is,
still
Becca?
race?
I don't know. Let me double check.
That also gets rid of my guess. Okay.
Da-na, da-na-na.
12.
Yeah, keep asking.
Okay, so the only 12 I can think of right now is Brad saying. It's not
That's what
Brad
I was
saying.
thinking, but I was like, there's no way that could
Oh,
be.
well, first off, it's not Minnesota.
Is it South
Okay.
Dakota?
They have not raced in quite a few years.
I don't know.
Shoot.
He is a
Oh,
Wisconsin driver.
Wisconsin driver. It's a nice looking car. But
It is.
First name, the initials MG.
mm, wish I had John
Very,
here.
Yeah,
very
John went.
popular first name.
Is it Mike something?
Yes. Instead of bad remote, it is Mike Good Remote.
Oh, I don't know Mike Good Remote at all.
Oh, now you know how I feel. You should know this.
That's John that does that, not me.
Mason, you should know all these people.
No, I
But this is a very nice looking car. Mike Good Remote, number 12, the Mopar Performance Dodge Intrepid, Gilbert sponsor of Sand Creek Train Air Conditioning or Train Air Conditioning and Heating. Very fun.
yeah, that's he's got some well, the couple of times that we've had him like pictures shown on this show, some really
He
good
has a sharp
schemes.
looking car.
I like it.
Now, if I were to guess a year, would it be something like 2004?
Close.
2003.
2001 will be the winner.
Oh, I actually was thinking 2001, but usually I guess too old. So, yeah.
It's okay, Mason. You tried.
All
And
right.
with that,
I got two quick ones.
that is your hands.
It's so tiny, Mason. Make it
Is
bigger.
it the number 44?
No,
No,
it's a
that's
23.
23. You have very nice nails, Mason.
Thank you. I wish it could focus better.
Well, okay, just put one finger over the name. It's
Mike Nelson.
Mike.
Mike Nelson.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Mike
Becca.
Nelson. Yes, got it. What teamwork.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say Mike Nelson right off the bat because the 23 font
Yep.
the same as it is today. But I was like, nah, it can't be Mike. I've never known him to drive a stock car, but it was.
That would be a hobby stock, I believe.
Yes.
That's a 27 W. And I can see the name if Mason would just hold it a little stiller. I can't even tell what type of car this is. Is it a
That's a-
mod?
It's a modified.
It's blue, Becca. Jason
Well, the
Waller.
only 27W I know is Jason Walla.
It is Jason Walla.
Yeah, I got one. Haha.
I think this is one of his very first cars. The Big
That was
Show.
fun. That was fun. I hadn't seen that car before from him. So,
Yeah.
what year was
Holy-
that from Mason?
That year was 2011.
This is before I started paying attention to everything in dirt track racing.
What do you have for this year, Becca? Any photos? Anything?
I didn't provide any photos, Jessup.
Oh,
That is
No.
A-okay. We
I'm
had
taking
some good
care of
ones
your
for the hot sauce, hot memory rewind. She usually doesn't supply photos. That's yours, mine, and John's job. Although I guess you could have gone to the Western Wander like John does every day.
Oh, I
yes,
darn
this is true.
next time. But John has the entire website memorized. It wouldn't benefit anyone but John. So
It's
Right.
true. This is also a fair point.
Yes. Well, that was a hot sauce, hot memory rewind. We just got a couple of things to talk about for this show. I figured since it's going to be right at the beginning of April, because this will likely come out on the 31st of March or on April 1st. depending on- Well, Riley might have something to say about that.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Riley. It takes time to edit this show. Although it might take less time because we don't have John here.
This is true.
Yeah.
I want to share my screen here real quick because I want to give a shout out to Dakota Dirt, who has compiled all the schedules for the state of North Dakota on here. And so, as you can see right now, the main thing that's being advertised is the training seminar, which will be taking place this weekend as well. I believe the Pelkeys are going to be attending that for at least a little bit, and hopefully the majority of the time, depending on how Riley handles everything.
She's a good girl. I would imagine she'll make most of the day, but without being too fussy. So she's a good girl.
Now, Jessup, so I will admit I haven't been on the site too much, but I see you have all the upcoming races for the month of April. Is there anything specific or any specific page I should go to that shows more than just the upcoming races, or right now is that what's got set out?
Well, that's what we got out now, but if you go to, let's see, go back up, Mason. It should be under the weekly pit shack. And then you can go to state schedule and you can see everything.
I like this because it's a good visual representation of.
Now you
What?
can.
You are a lady. No.
So everything that's highlighted right now are the ones that don't have or are the ones that I have not found a projected start time, but you will also see all of the races as well. So keep going, Mason. You can go into May and you can really start seeing how busy things really start to pick up.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's
And
awesome.
then you get the +2, +3, so it's like
There's options.
this is pretty neat. So it's kind of, especially if you're a North Dakota fan, you're kind of looking for, if you're looking like a racer, if you're looking for places to go on a weekend, see where you can get some state points or something like that. This is a good little resource to kind of.
You can also see what type of weather is at the track too. If you go back to the top, Mason,
Oh,
and
yes.
back under the week, it should be under the forecast. Maybe if they load. Sometimes they're quite fickle, but usually in this point, they usually end up. Oh, for crying out loud! Why are they not loading?
Jessup.
Yeah.
Go, Mason, will you go back to the weekly pit shack?
Yes.
Dakota Classic Modified Tour spelled wrong.
Where?
That's the wrong
In,
Dakota.
drop down.
Wrong
Oh,
Dakota.
nice.
Wrong Dakota.
Hold that thought. I don't understand what you're talking about.
And Jessup, I'll get you the updated Dakota Classic Modified Tour logo that you can put on that page.
Neat. Hold that thought, Mason. I
And
don't
as you can
understand.
see the schedule laid out here as well. No surprise. Well, actually,
That's also not the right date.
that is
It
also
starts-
not correct.
That's also this year. The tour starts on July 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th.
Yes, we have not updated this page. Thank you, Becca. Would you like me to update the Dakota Speedway TV page first or this page?
I'll let you do the DSTV page first.
Oh, okay. Then I will get that one done. And then I will get this one done. And then I will make sure Riley has a fresh diaper.
So like I like the layout of the schedule too. And so pretty much the first weekend of April, we got a lot of stuff going on. So we got the car show up at Nodak Speedway, Magic City Car and Trade Show. And I believe the Dakota Speedway, the Kirkwood Mall show is also next weekend.
It is move-in night is Wednesday, April 2nd, and then it'll be officially open to the public on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then 6th. And at mall close on Sunday, April 6th, the drivers can come back, get their race cars, and yeah, after that, I suppose it's racing season or other car shows they can participate in.
Yep. So we got Devil's Lake. They're looking to do a test and tune on the 5th of April, very, very soon coming up. Then we moved into test and tune
We're gonna have to
season
redo this.
again for Dakota Speedway on the 12th of April as well, and Devil's Lake looking open on the 12th, weather permitting. I don't know exactly. So I feel like it's been a little bit more moist up around Devil's Lake in regards to anywhere else around the state. So I'm wondering how the frost line's going up there. So we'll see if they're able to open up on that Saturday. Nodak's got their test and tune on the 13th of April as well. And then looks like Devil's Lake on the 19th racing once again. And racing really kicks off that last weekend of April, starting on the 25th with Dakota Speedway. Nodak Speedway has a doubleheader on the 26th and 27th. Devil's Lake continuing their races. And looks like Wilson's also doing a test and tune that weekend as well. So it's going to be a busy month getting everything ready to go. Like I said earlier, been going to a couple of shops, and some people have their stuff pretty well on schedule and others need a little more time. I'll just put it that way. Kind of like anything else in the world. We like to
Hmm.
procrastinate.
So after further review, Mason, the forecast is presently unavailable.
Oh no.
Weather.com is currently not available. Why? Weather.com.
The
I don't
weather's
know.
probably been confused over the last couple weeks because we've had some pretty dang good weather. Although I don't know if it's like been like this over where you guys are at, but it's always super nice during the week, and the weekends are kind of like chilly and kind of like meh, which is very annoying.
Hmm. We may have to get rid of this page. The chat.
Oh no.
I know this is not fun. This was one of the easiest pages to
Some more
update.
adjustments needed for Dakota Dirt. I wanted to
No,
go over just
just in
briefly on
time.
some of the racing just outside of the state of North Dakota. Of course, usually Ogilvy and Princeton are kind of the first tracks to try to open up. Right now, they've delayed their opener, which was supposed to be the first weekend of April, to the second weekend of April because the frost line is still way too deep, and so we'll see how that progresses over the next week or so. I believe Cedar Lake is still on schedule to open up April 5th, so I'm assuming a lot of people are going to try to head over there for their first race of the year. And then you got, Red Cedar Speedway, kind of the Wisconsin, Eastern Minnesota tracks are looking to open up the first couple weeks of April. Rice Lake as well. And yeah, it's that last weekend of April. I think that kind of everyone is shooting for season openers, whether it's North Dakota or Minnesota. I-94 is looking to open up. Brainerd North Central Speedway is looking to open up, and Granite City Motor Park looking to open up around those last couple weekends as well. So, and keep an eye on the Facebook pages for testing tunes because a lot of times they can be a little flexible on when they actually are going to be taking place, depending on weather and if they can kind of sneak one in before their first race night. Because I know a lot of tracks try to get something going so that way they can kind of iron things out and make sure everything's all in line. So April looking to be a hectic and busy month. And so means racers, get your stuff done.
Hmm.
So that way we can see you out on the track right away for the racing season. One of the other things that kind of took place over the last couple weeks, some news out of the Wishick area. They are moving to Sundays for their season this year, kind of trying to work together with a couple of the area tracks so that way they can kind of get the most benefit and for the racers and for a good turnout throughout the season. And so, initial thoughts when you saw that news that they were switching from their normal Thursdays to Sundays?
Well, I was a bit confused at first, but I guess it makes sense. I don't understand why they were the track that got bullied out of their day, but I guess it makes sense.
Becca, did you have any initial thoughts when you saw the news?
I was a little bit surprised, but then the more I thought about it, I wonder if this will actually help improve car counts down there, just because there aren't very many other places to race on a Sunday, especially for the racing divisions that they host at their racetrack. So I'm really curious to see if this will actually improve car counts. I actually liked their Thursday night race date. I would have preferred if they would have stayed on Thursday, but sometimes you just gotta make a change. And I think this could be a change for the better.
Yeah, I kind of had similar thoughts to you, Becca. Looking at the Thursday versus Sunday schedule, it's kind of easy to see things kind of get like kind of really like jumbled up and kind of like a lot happening on certain nights. And so, Thursdays, of course, on my side of the state, we have Cheyenne Speedway and then Norman County on Thursday as well. So it's like two tracks within like basically 2 hours of each other. So it's like, dang, there's already two tracks, and then you put Wishick in the mix. It's like those are three small town tracks. And so it's like, man, they need all the support they can get on a regular Thursday night show. So I'm like, Sundays I think could work for Wishick, especially with the divisions like you mentioned. And so if you look on the east side of the state for like Legends, for example, they can race 4 nights a week pretty easily, whether it's Ada or Lisbon, Friday, Red River Valley Speedway, Jamestown Saturday, and then Buffalo River and Glendon on Sunday. Well, now you can almost do that in a sense too on the western side of the state if you decide to go over to Lisbon on Thursday, Mandan on Friday, flip flop between Southwest and Jamestown and now Wishick on Sundays. So especially for like legends, it's going to be a very popular destination. I think they'll have a very solid count of legends, even hobby stocks that are kind of looking for places to race besides Mandan and Jamestown. It's kind of nice to make a 3 day weekend swing out of it. And so I think it's going to be overall a nice move. And two, you can make a full day out of it. You can go golfing if you want, take in some of the great food there and make a full Sunday afternoon extravaganza out of it. So that's also another aspect of the change as well.
I
Which,
agree.
yeah, I would say, Jess, you typically take in a round of 9 or 18 holes before a Wishick race anyway, so almost sounds right up your
Yes.
alley.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Do you, I wish I remembered if they had TVs there in their like restaurant or something for like NASCAR races, that would really be kind of a full experience on a Sunday.
It would be.
It's
We,
not too late. If anyone from Wishing is watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, I think that would be a genius idea to put TVs up in their little concession area, and then you can watch the NASCAR races before the races start.
I
Yep.
agree.
And they start at 5 p.m. on Sunday evenings, so they should get done at a decent time, so that way you're able to get back home in time for Monday morning jobs and things like that. And so definitely, especially these small tracks around our area, go support them because they need all the support they can get. Every little bit helps, and so we want to keep our tracks open as long as possible. So uh, that's the update on Wishick. And kind of the other thing we were kind of noticing over the last couple weeks is just the new crop of like classes in the area, whether it's slingshots or even more people jumping in the legends. And so you two probably know a little more about the slingshot growth around the Bismarck Mandan area since that's a new class for that track. And so what are you kind of hearing the buzz as far as slingshots go around your neck of the woods?
It's going to be good. Hopefully, we see a lot the class explode, and hopefully that gives kind of like a resurgence of young racers into our community because we need a fresh breath of new racers to come in so we can continue the growth and the continuing population and popularity of dirt track racing in our area.
I heard that there
Gee,
potentially could be 20 slingshots racing on Friday nights in Mandan. I don't know if those are all locally just Bismarck Mandan kids. I don't think so. I believe some of those kids would be traveling from an hour or 2 hours away to come race in Mandan. But the number I've been hearing through the grapevine is there could be potentially 20 youngsters racing slingshots in Mandan. And I think that's fabulous because, as Jessup alluded to, this is a springboard into other racing divisions, whether that's a hobby stock, a legend, or a stock car. A lot of today's younger racers have come from the slingshot divisions from around the state, and they either are excelling in their current division or they're using that and moving it up through the racing ranks. And I think it's great, and it's just a great way to get more youth into today's dirt track racing.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing that, especially, Estevan, I believe, has been kind of the catalyst for this. You can see a lot of the drivers that kind of transition out of the slingshots into other classes, such as like Keenan Glosser, Ryder Rayner, just to name a couple. And it kind of works twofold, especially when you usually, a lot of these slingshot drivers, they're kids and their parents also race in other divisions. So you not only get the kids racing on the same night, but usually the parents will be racing as well. So it's kind of like you get a 2-for-1 special and kind of getting, cars and families out to the racetrack. And so I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be really good. I know Nodak Speedway over the last couple of years has brought in slingshots more for their race nights, and Wilson's done the same thing. And so I think
Underwood.
Underwood has also done that in Southwest, and so and Jamestown's always had slingshots, and so there's places for these kids to race, and so they'll get some good seat time. And I think I know the answer to this, but they're racing around the big track down at Dakota Speedway for their
Yeah.
races, so it's plenty wide. So we might see some 5 and 6 wide on a regular basis at the start of some of these races.
they should be able to go 8 wide.
We did measure this out with Jessup's Envoy. And I think, what is it, 9 or 10?
Some years ago, we can do it with the truck this year. We'll just go out and do what we did and make sure it's feasible.
But yeah, they could easily go like 8 to 10 wide on Dakota Speedway.
Yes.
Hopefully they don't attack the outside berm too much on the front stretch because that could get a little hairy. But
Oh, that'd be fun. They'd launch.
Plus, I think there's some other tracks that have decided to add them either like once or a small handful of times. Ooh, you can't have all of them. Dead Horse Creek up in Canada is gonna have them a few times this year. I thought I saw Grand Forks add them for just one race.
I didn't
Um,
see that, but I could
or
be
maybe
wrong.
it was Devil's Lake. I'm sorry.
I think it's Devil's Lake and
Devil's Lake is gonna race
maybe
them once or
Thunder
twice.
Mountain.
Yeah, so they're definitely expanding their footprint, and that's awesome.
yeah, definitely a good opportunity, especially since we don't necessarily have a ton of like go-kart racing, for example, out on the western side of the state compared to like the kart clubs that we have over in the Fargo area. And so it's nice to have something for the kids to get involved in racing right away and kind of keep them interested as they kind of grow older and understanding of the racing a little bit more. And so yeah, that's gonna be exciting because I know there's a lot of kids that grow up with a lot of these racers, whether they race modifieds or stock cars or hobby stocks. They're like, I want to get behind the wheel of a race car. Well, it's like you kind of have to wait, and by the time they wait until like they're 15, 16 years old, they kind of find other stuff that interests them. So it's good to get something to get them involved in the sport right away and kind of keep that interest going. So hopefully we see some great car counts throughout the season in the slingshot class. So as we embark on the white flag for this episode, we will give a shout out to the B1 IMCA stock car driver out of Glendon, Minnesota, Brody Karlsrud, for supporting us another year on the Track Packers, who's in the midst of building or constructing his new to him B&B chassis, I believe, IMCA stock car. So he's really excited for the season to get rolling. He'll be racing around the Red River Valley, of course, in his home tracks, but also traveling throughout the summer, especially on the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. You can follow his Facebook page, Brody Karlsrud B1 Racing on Facebook, and his podcast, The Real Deal with B1, to find out all the ins and outs of the race season and during the off season as well. So thank you, Brody, for supporting us on the podcast as well. Now, there's been a few more paint schemes revealed in the last week or so since we last recorded the show. Any stick out that we want to give a shout out to?
I like Ryan Michelson's late model that got revealed today. It's
Yes.
giving me a vibe of Steve Larson and a mix in with Brad Sang, and it's very sharp and clean looking.
And Ryan had mentioned on one of his earlier posts this week that there's a lot of significance to having a blue chassis. I believe
Mhm.
it's partially from well, I gotta look it up, but partially from Don Gumke, who had a lot of blue in his car, and then the other aspect of that paint scheme, if well, I'll be showing it on the screen here, but it's white, blue, and green. And you know, if you know Ryan Michelson, typically just a white, black, or green scheme is what he went with in previous years, but changing it up this year. And I don't know if he's going to be racing as much. I know they're going to be focusing a lot on lake time this year. And so,
Is that
oh,
even an
there.
option? Is that real?
Yeah, I know. The lake is kind of a thing for some people too during the summer.
Now,
The other
Mason
aspect of the blue chassis is Johnny C, who ran a blue chassis for several years.
and
And
Jake Hartung,
yep, Jake Hartung, also the chassis builder of this car as well. And so a lot of significance behind this race car for Ryan, and it's going to look really sharp and stand out on the racetrack.
mm-hmm.
Any other stand out to you, Jessup or Rebecca? You got one or two?
What have I shared with you? I've
You
seen so
shared a
many.
lot of stuff.
I
I
know.
liked Colin Thompson's new paint scheme that came out this week. Blue's my favorite color, so I was very partial to that. And then I also liked Bruce King's car. It gave me Hank Berry vibes. But it's also just a nice scheme of just yellow and different variations of blue. Just really nice. I liked it.
It's a couple good ones, yeah. Those were going to stand out as well. I personally like Jory Berg's new scheme. He's had the last couple years kind of done the gold, black, and white kind of variation. He's still got the gold and black, but he added like a little blue flare. And I want to ask him too, because I know we had the tragedy a couple years ago up in Grand Forks with one of the police officers. So I'm wondering if that blue is kind of significant, like kind of is the significance of that because it looks really, really cool the way it kind of like glows through the rest of the car. And so that thing really stands out. That's the other show that I forgot to mention, the Home of Economy show. I know we mentioned it on a previous episode, but did one of you remember
I
off
have
the top
not
of your head
found it.
when that's taking place?
I do not know. You're the
That's
East Side knowledgeable person.
I am, and well, this is kind of like one of the first weekends I've been kind of going out and kind of getting some gossip and kind of getting an idea of like, who's all going to be racing what, who's all got new stuff, and I mean, I'm already finding out some interesting things, but I don't know if I can totally reveal them yet because drivers like to keep things close to the vest until like the week before. It's like, this is what we're doing. It's like, whoa, that's a shock. So hearing all sorts of rumors, kind of like I'm sure you guys are hearing on your side of the state. But with the car show coming up, that's kind of a great opportunity to really see what people are up to. I think one of the biggest questions going into this year, will Scott Gartner repeat as what would it
Oh,
be, the 5 time straight IMCA modified car show champion? Six?
6? Wow. Wow. You're on mute.
Sorry,
Meanwhile, my cat's wailing in the background, so I was
he's
like, I didn't
going
know if that was Riley or Becca.
he is going for his sixth. He has 5.
Okay.
But I did talk to Scott and Markel, and they are changing things up slightly with his paid scheme. So it's not going to be the standard red 0 that he's had the last 3 years. It's going to look slightly different this year. And I don't know what it is. They wouldn't show me. I didn't get a sneak peek at all, but he has been teasing it on Snapchat. If any of you follow him on Snapchat.
The 0 is going to be in the shape of a chicken nugget, chicken nugget.
Genius. The chicken nuggy buggy. I love it.
They're gonna have Grimace on the car
That would be cool. Okay, there was.
or the
I
Hamburglar.
let's see if I can find. There's a diecast. They came out with like a series of McDonald's diecast cars. I think in like 1994, and one of them was a 0.
Were you
Oh,
even born then?
did
I
you
was
tell?
born in 93.
Oh, my bad. Tell me more about your knowledge of 94.
I can tell you a lot of stuff that happened in 1994. Dale
All right.
Earnhardt won his 7th and final Winston Cup championship. Mark Martin finished second for the second time out of the 5 that he would go on to score as a bridesmaid, which is very annoying. What else happened in 1994? We lost Ayrton Senna, so that was a sad deal.
Didn't Davey Allison die in 94?
93.
Ah, thank you.
Yep, him and Quickly passed away the same year. There's okay. That's a drag car from the McDonald's diecast. I'm gonna find this.
Are you gonna share it when you do? Because I want to see this now.
I will. Yes. I'm getting all the Bubba paint schemes.
Let's see.
Also, didn't Bill Elliott drive the McDonald's car back in 94?
Yes.
If 94.
In 94, the Winter Olympics were held in Lillehammer, Norway. An earthquake struck San Fernando Valley, killing 57 people and becoming one of the costliest earthquakes of record. A model of the MS Estonia, which sank in the Baltic Seas, occurred. Nelson Mandela cast his vote in the South African general election.
Okay, this isn't the 0 car, but
Thousands dead in the Rwanda massacre.
I think that Scotty should do this paint scheme. The
Can you
Ronald
zoom in?
Rocket scheme.
Can you zoom in, please? More.
I feel
Lower.
Scott could
See,
be on.
that's not too far off his scheme.
No, it's not.
Now, would you put that on the stock car or the modified?
What body style is he going with on the stock car?
Probably a Mopar.
Um, I feel like this would look good on the modified, personally.
And other things that happened in 1994, the Great Northridge earthquake rocked Los Angeles and killed 72. $20 billion in damage happened, which is still a lot less than the current damage count.
Yeah. But yeah. So, oh, there's the zero car. Oh, he should go with this. This is a grimace. It's the totally different color, but
All right, let's see it.
this would be such a cool scheme for Scotty to pull off.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Why not?
I don't see that happening either.
You might be able to talk Junior into it,
Yeah,
but I
I can
don't
see
Or
see.
if
Junior doing that.
or if Blake gets the racing bug, she could be the purple Grimace McDonald's car.
The next time I see Scott, I'm going to ask him, what would it take you to run this scheme? Run one of these schemes from like the 1994 diecast set of McDonald's cars.
A lot of money.
And then he should go and buy those little racing cars off eBay, and then he could hand them out to the kids.
Yeah.
See,
How much are these?
There's a pink one.
$9. Yeah, Becca. I think. Oh, that one. Go to that one. Zoom in. That's a
Actually,
good one.
Mike Speaker does the little racing die casts. He could just strike a deal up with Mike Speaker to make them.
Yeah, and see, this would be
Yes.
easy to print out and put a wrap on.
Who
Come on,
needs a
Scott, we
wrap?
gotta
We
make
could
this
just
happen.
we could paint that.
Oh, actually, yeah, we could paint that. We could even save you money.
Sure, Mason. Sure.
It'd be better than half of the throwback paint schemes that we have currently for Darlington coming up in the next
What
week
do
or
you
so.
mean? Kyle Larson's one was pretty sweet looking. The Terry
Kyle
Labonte
Larson
throwback.
always has like arguably the best throwback schemes. I At first I didn't mind the Chase Elliott, but then when people were starting to kind of like go into the deep details of it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see where they're a little upset about it.
Who else had a good one? Whoever. Who's the one doing the Kodak spinoff?
That's Parker Retzlaff in the Xfinity series.
Yeah, that was a good one. And
Yep.
then the
Ryan
Halverline
Sieg
one was pretty solid.
and yeah, the Sieg team is they got a couple good schemes in the Xfinity side as well. I mean, Austin Cindrix is cool. It's just a little bit plain, but I mean, it's a plain scheme that he's throwing back to.
What do you mean? You don't like the plain throwbacks where they show the photo? This is red farmers all red light model. We're throwing it back to this, and it's just a pure red car with sponsors on it. I'm like,
I almost appreciate those more than the throwbacks to like 2017 or 2018. It's like this is a throwback. I'm like,
that's 10 years ago. In 2 more
well,
years.
technically, no, 2017 and 2018 would be like 6 years ago, but
It's 2025. 2017's 2 years away from 10 years.
I feel like there should be a minimum like threshold of years in between for
You
throwbacks.
know, I thought the positioning of the numbers on the retro cars looks pretty good. It could be a little further forward, but it looks pretty good.
Depending on the era, they were
Why
that far forward to
poking the
begin.
bear? Why are you stirring the pot?
I don't know, but this is a good one. I think we need to see some modifieds and stock cars this year move their numbers forward.
No, I mean dirt track racing is a little more flexible because sometimes they like the numbers are on the very back like tail or the back sail panel anyways, so it's like they kind of put their numbers wherever they see fit. So it wouldn't really bug me too much number placement for dirt track racing. It just looks goofy as heck if it's just way right up next to the wheel well of the front tire.
For those who don't know what's going on, I am poking the bear here with Mason as many meltdowns have occurred since the NASCAR positioning of its numbers has changed.
Well, it's not a stupid looking car too. That doesn't help either.
You know, it would look better if it had the wing that they used to have from the Car of Tomorrow.
You know, actually, it might actually look better, to be honest. As controversial as that car looked when it first came out, I almost like that version better than this next gen Max Matchbox car. And I think Riley does too.
Yep. And Riley's also a big fan of the new car bodies for the stock cars that make them look like oversized sport compacts.
Yeah, that's interesting to say the least. I will admit, I'm not a
Oh,
big fan of them.
yep. It doesn't look natural yet.
Maybe if we see them race on the track more, well, there is going to be at least one of those Camaro bodies locally. So,
I don't mind the idea of a different body. The paint schemes need to be different than making them look like a sport compact or a Chevy, let's say not a Caprice, but a Chevy Cavalier look.
yeah. I'm all for being innovative, but like, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I'll go I'll I know I might get some ridicule on that, but not the biggest fan of the Camaro body.
Nope. I
But to
like
each
the
their own.
people. I like the people who take the old square body or metric Monte Carlo body and then put a Camaro nose on it, and it doesn't look anywhere near like it should look for any car design.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't quite match, but sure.
This was a car.
Yes, it was. Anything in closing before we sign off for the episode? Of course, you guys are going to be at the officials trading tomorrow, so I'll pick up some cool nuggets there and car show this week as well.
Yes.
Any other fun stuff coming up for you two?
No.
Well, you two
Eh,
then have a great time having zero fun over the next week or so.
well, every week is fun with little Miss Riley, and we're gonna have to probably take her in for the concussion she just received.
Well,
What?
this goes back to Becca's adventures with Oli and Gordy with the good.
You know
Have
what?
you ever?
You know what? Next podcast, Jessup can babysit Riley, and I can just sit downstairs and podcast.
I don't
That
think
would be
so.
fun to see the interaction during the podcast with
He's
Jessup
a
and
really
Riley
good
being.
dad, so it'd be super cute. But
We would not be paying any attention. All
what's
right.
And
well,
how
what's
would this be any different from a normal show?
exactly
Am I
half,
on the pole?
half the time you're watching another race and then watching monster trucks on your phone and wrestling on the TV. So what makes it any different?
So back to more important questions. Am I on the pole? Since
No.
I didn't cut. Oh, hold on. Before we go, put your checkered flags away. If I should be on the pole because I did not cause another podcaster to injure themselves or be possibly concussed.
Our child is fine.
I say,
I
she
don't
looks
know.
like she's
You
clearly
did.
fine. She's ready to throw the checkered flag, Jessup.
She is
She's ready
not
to
ready.
end the show.
She's trying to hold it off so she can get her caution and get back in the line after Becca dumped her to the side.
Well, I
Is
think
this
Riley's ready to end this race, and she's, well, before she eats the checkered flag.
is is this one of those podcasts where it's no fault and you keep going if you wreck somebody else?
Maybe just for this episode, it might be best to do a no fault rule.
I
Fun fact: you can learn more about the no fault caution at the official training seminar this weekend.
which will be if Mason gets this out by Monday, yesterday.
Yes.
Yes, that is the plan because we have a fun video coming out for April Fool's Day. With that, that'll do it for episode 4 of season 4 for the Track Packers. As always, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and also on YouTube if you'd like to listen or watch on there. Spotify and Apple Podcasts is where you can find us in the listening forum. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro, and The Real Deal with B1. April is right upon us. Racers, get your stuff ready, and fans, get ready so we can all be out there packing the track.